misty mountains cold.
Is this that Hobbit shit?
Hi, welcome to That Hobbit Shit. I'm Mike.
And I'm Corey.
Hey, Corey. What are we talking about this episode?
Hey, Mike. Nice to hear your voice. Well, we're on episode 19, chapter 19, A Chilling Vision of Things to Come.
Oh, I get it.
I don't know why, but that one stopped me in my tracks. Okay. Ooh. Mike, the smell
Let
from
me
this
tell
beer.
you, that Ted Sandyman has something coming his way.
Oh my God, does he ever? Yeah, poor Sam. I am feeling a bit rusty, I have to say. So, if you'd all gently cast your minds back to where we left off, everyone was safe and happy in Lothlorien. There was a hill, some melern, and some flowers, and Aragorn was lost in some pervy memories. Halder was leading the fellowship toward the capital to take them to meet the Lord and Lady. They made their way and they came across the Elven city around dusk. Caris Galadon, it was called, Mike. Little known fact. And it was built on malorn trees bigger than any they had seen so far. They were literally bigger than any system of measurement in all of Middle-earth, except probably Numenor.
How many ents tall were they?
Mike, the height of ents is out of the reckoning of elves and men. So Halder gave them a very long speech about the greatness of the city and how cool it was. So cool, they'd have to go the long way around to the front where the cool people enter. And by the time they got there, it was night and the lamps in the city were lit. The gates to the city opened on their own and shut by themselves after the company had passed, not creepy in the least. Boromir rolled his eyes, which of course were still voluntarily blindfolded. They walked for a hell of a long time until they came to the biggest tree of all, growing among fountains and etc. Halder gave another speech about meeting Celeborn and Galadriel, the Lord and Lady. But since the party already knew what they were about, they ignored him and began climbing the great tree. They were 1,000,000 feet above the ground when they came upon a talon, or flet, that had a great hall built upon it surrounding the trunk of the tree. Halder and Frodo entered at once. Yeah, I'm back in the saddle now, Mike. This is great.
You're doing well, Corey.
Thank you. There were a whole bunch of elves hanging out inside, including Mike on the thrones that backed against the tree trunk, the Lord and Lady. They were fairly impressive looking, according to the text. Celeborn welcomed Frodo, but Galadriel did not speak. As each of the company entered, they were greeted by Celeborn and greeted by cold silence from the lady. Celeborn implied heavily that Aragorn was up to some stuff the last time he was here, but we won't get into the specifics of that just yet. He seemed pumped to see Legolas, and he was surprisingly cordial to Gimli, though it was clear he didn't mean a word of it. They were all gathered when Celeborn said, "Wait a tick, where's that old rat Gandalf? He owes me $50. Suddenly Galadriel spoke for the first time. Her voice was musical, but deeper than a woman's voice ought to be, again, according to the text. Celeborn, you fool, she said.
According to Tolkien.
Not according to Mike and I. A small disclaimer there. Celeborn, you fool, she said. I told you he's never going to pay you. He must be dead. Someone please explain. Aragorn explained what happened in Moria to the elves present, and his story was punctuated by wailing and lamentations. Oh, fuck indeed, said Celeborn. No shit, said Legolas. It was a fucking Balrog, bro. A Balrog by the evil name of Durin's Bane, said Gimli. Even though everyone was having a good time telling ghost stories, Celeborn flew off the handle and began blaming Gimli for all the problems in the world. That is until Galadriel told him to calm the hell down and not to yell at the guests. Mike, this is perhaps a footnote to your Bombadil theory that Celeborn was in fact the original cuck. Galadriel continued.
Pardon me.
We keep track of all fan theories that are ever presented.
Was my theory that Tom Bombadil was a cuckold?
I think you mentioned just in passing that you were likely to come across an essay on the dark Tolkien web that Bombadil was the original. Yeah. This was many chapters ago.
Oldest and cuckoldest.
We're gonna have such a good time with this new series. Anyway, Yeah, I didn't want to dwell on that point. Galadriel continued and said, Gandalf is dead, and you don't need that $50 anyway. Gimli is clearly a cool guy, just like our cool elves. So this was the very first fall in love with her spell that Galadriel cast, and it worked a treat on Gimli. He stood up as fast as dwarves can stand up, and he started quoting Klingon love poetry in front of the whole crowd. And then after an awkward silence, Celeborn apologized. Then Galadriel herself gave a much better apology for Celeborn's behavior than Celeborn did. Things are pretty fucked. That's clear, she said, but who knows? Maybe it'll all work out. Then, one by one, she looked everyone in the eye and cast a fall in love with her spell on the lot of them. Legolas and Aragorn lapped it up. Sam seemed a touch uncomfortable, but you know what they say, when in Caris Galadon, do as the Galadrim do. Then she allowed them to go to bed and dream about her. Celeborn said something else, but no one was listening. The company slept on the ground that night rather than in the tree, a treat for the hobbits, but surely an insult to the men and the elf. What was up with you during the love spell, Sam? Pippin pried as they were settling down. Don't fuck with me tonight, Pippin. I'm not in the mood. If you must know, I felt the lady was perving on me, tempting me with gardens and shit. Whoa, me too, said Mary, except I'm into much weirder stuff, and he trailed off. And the fellowship began discussing the weird fantasies that Galadriel put in their heads. It was then our boy Boromir spoke up and pointed out how fucked all of this was. He went on about how true warriors of Minas Tirith have very little imagination, so the spell clearly had no effect on him. Frodo was the only one who wouldn't say a dang thing about what the spell did to him. Eventually, they all fell asleep. So for days following this, the party took, you guessed it, another vacation. Meanwhile, the elves of Lorien were busy composing dirty limericks in honor of Gandalf. Somewhat shocked and unsure how to translate such crude language, Legolas refused to repeat any of it in the common tongue. Frodo and Sam took a shot at making an ode to Gandalf. Sam was stuck trying to find a rhyme for underwear. Frodo's poem was a bit less lively and generally more melancholy. So one evening, Sam and Frodo were out walking. Frodo asked Sam what he thought about elves now, as opposed to way back in chapter 3. The one night when they were on the road to Buckland. Sam was muttering something nonsensical about elves, in fact, being elves, and mentioned that they had not seen the Lord or Lady since arriving. It was right then that Galadriel suddenly appeared before them. Not creepy in the least. She didn't say anything, but they were entranced and followed her. And Mike, it's difficult for me not to imply more than I want to here, but she took them to her private garden. In the garden was a basin and a pitcher, or ewer, Mike. And she filled this ewer.
Inal?
Say again?
Urinal?
No. You imagine it was just like, come into the garden and she just pissed. No, I don't want to mention that. Sam, fill up this basin for me. Totally lost my... she filled the basin. This is my mirror, and if you look in it, you will see some shit, she told them. What kind of shit? Frodo asked, and I don't blame him. You're having a really bad trip, she asked. No, they both said. Never mind, she answered. Either look or don't. Sam, you've got a pair, don't you? Hit this shit. So Sam looked in the mirror. Sam was skeptical and said it'd probably be bogus, just like the mirror a couple chapters back, if you remember that. Galadriel smirked in a way that was not creepy at all. He leaned over the water and he waited. Sam gasped and he saw Frodo dead, himself doing some scary stuff in a scary place. Then there were trees that were being cut down. And Sam started to yell at the TV. The trees were Shire trees that he knew. The mill was replaced with a gross factory. There was dark smoke and Ted Sandeman's ugly face. And even Hamfast, father of Samwise, was seen in the mirror, kicked out of his hole with nowhere to go. Sam was, understandably, I wrote very, but I'm going to change that to extremely upset and wanted to run all the way home and stop these things from happening. He felt pretty shitty after what he'd seen, but with tears in his eyes, he had made up his mind to see things through with Frodo before he'd ever head back to the beloved Shire. As Sam wept and cursed on the ground, Galadriel said, "Your turn, Frodo," and passed him the pipe. Beckoned him to the mirror. Frodo said as he looked. He saw some stuff that seemed a lot like those dreams he was having a while back of spooky landscapes and prophetic weather. He thought he saw Gandalf, but was it Saruman? Then it was Bilbo pacing in his room. Then it was a bunch of weird stuff like the sea and boats and cities and fortresses, wild stuff, possibly the history of the ring. Who knows? Then it all went dark and empty, and a terrible, terrible eye appeared. It was horrible, Mike, terrible. Definitely creepy this time, aside from everything else that's happened that was not creepy. It was looking around. It was looking for the ring. It was looking for Frodo. Frodo was being pulled toward the water. Suddenly, it was all over. Galadriel smiled and said, "It's good shit, isn't it?" She explained that this spooky eye was Sauron himself, and that it was thanks to her power that he could not look upon the elves. She struck a cool pose, and Frodo noticed a ring on her hand that shone as bright as the brightest of the elven stars. "That's right," she said. "I hold one of the 3 elven rings, Nenya, ring of adamant." Frodo could see it because he was the bearer of the One Ring. So even Sam could reason out that if Sauron got his ring back, then he would be able to see fucking everything. Because Sam, who was not the ring bearer, could see no ring on Galadriel's finger. Seeing how fucked everything was, Frodo offered that awful ring to Galadriel. Then things really went fucked because she became but a small vision of what would happen if she claimed the One Ring. Not only Sauron, but all the Ted Sandymans of the world would be murdered. It was awful, but she was just joking, I guess. She would not have the ring, Mike. She wouldn't take it. She said that was enough for one night, and the 3 left the private garden of chilling visions of things to come and went to bed. And that's our awful, awful chapter.
Really, it ends on a downer, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's ever really up very far.
If you dial it back a while. Things start off with a party, some mild racism.
Nothing terribly out of the ordinary. Well, Mike, shall we get into some notes on the chapter?
I think we should. I've got a few.
Yeah, I have a decent amount too. Why don't you go ahead, bro?
Okay. My first note is only having one entrance to the city is some typical elf shit.
It's kind of like, it's kind of a pain for the whole party, isn't it?
Yeah, they put it as far away from the Dwarven kingdom as they possibly could.
Yeah, I guess the Elven kingdom is facing its ass to the Dwarven kingdom.
Yeah. Like, why not have 2 doors?
Yeah, and it's just made of trees. Like you just have to cut a hole in a hedge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's kind of funny too, even from a writing standpoint, that like they could have just entered the city, but no, the narration explains that they had to go the long way around.
Yeah. But the long way around to an elf wouldn't seem that long because they're much taller, and the time just seems so much shorter for them anyway.
Yeah, and they're sort of like pompous enough that they want to walk the long way around so they can like appreciate the city more.
Yeah, look at all the trees.
You know what? I've never appreciated that particular tree before.
It's like when you go for a walk in your neighborhood, you know?
And you walk past things like the tree that you like.
Yeah, a tree you like, a tree you've never noticed before. Oh, I never noticed that house before.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
that kind of thing. But add an hour to it.
It's like stopping at every house, being like, "Oh, 229, eh? That's a good number. I like that one." Mike, I did a Matham way back in episode 14 that was about Elrond, and in this Matham, the White Council came up. And I remember looking into it and having to sort through the White Council from like the Hobbit movies versus the White Council in the books, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I could be wrong, but I look back through my notes and maybe I'm just forgetting reading it and I didn't write it down or whatever, but I really don't recall seeing a single thing about Galadriel being the person to start and summon the council.
Did she make that up?
I wonder if this is like I don't know, are the Dark Tolkien forums forgetting the the influence of Galadriel on the history of Middle Earth?
Yeah, and like and it laid out plainly in the actual text of the book.
She clearly says, "I was the first one."
Yeah. Related to that, one thing I had forgotten is that she wanted Gandalf the Grey to be the head of the White Council.
Yeah.
And he refused it. Did you know that?
Yeah, she sort of says that in the text, I think.
Yeah, I looked it up. He refused it because he didn't want to set down roots.
Oh. That's kind of funny. That plays into all our Gandalf jokes.
Yeah.
He just wanted to, he wanted to continue being a moochy vagabond.
Yeah.
But a lot of trouble might have been saved if he had just agreed.
My next note, Corey. So when they climb up these trees to the giant platforms, are they going up a ladder or a set of stairs? Because it was very unclear to me.
I think in the last chapter that it said it was ladders.
Yeah, it did. And then in this chapter it said ladders, but then it said stairs in the same paragraph.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty good question because they're going up these trees that are like impossibly tall. I just don't know if a ladder would be a really good idea.
No, you can't really take a rest on a ladder.
No, yeah, it's like yeah, and like a rope ladder. I remember climbing those when I was a kid, and they weren't very much fun.
Yeah, it was a thing in gym class for like, a workout.
Yeah, I was gonna say to make you suffer, but yeah.
So I feel like ladder might be a different definition of stairs, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe they go up a short ladder to a set of stairs. Maybe that's what it is.
Or maybe to an elf, climbing a rope ladder is as easy as a set of stairs, so they just call it stairs, but it really is actually a very dangerous rope ladder.
That could be true too.
Like going back to your first point.
Those poor hobbits.
Yeah, no shit. So much is just like incidentally awful for the hobbits.
Yeah.
My next note is this whole story, this whole Lord of the Rings thing, like it seems like it's pretty solidly about the end of the world, eh?
Yeah, the long defeat, is that what Galadriel calls it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's like climate change, right?
Yeah. Oh, now I'm all bummed out. You're right. It's like climate change. Yeah, it's kind of like they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. Like, I don't know, if they beat Sauron, the rings will perish and the elves will leave. If they don't beat Sauron, he'll kill all the elves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like climate change. Either the world burns up to a crisp and we all die, or we can't do any of the cool things that we like anymore.
Yeah. Well, what is life without coffee, really?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. What's your next number?
Let's see here. My next note is how rude Galadriel and what's her husband's name? Celeborn. How rude they were to Aragorn. They said the years lay heavy on you. It had been almost 40 years since they had seen him, and they're like, ooh.
Yeah, and keep it in mind in this like medieval world that like 38 is probably like the pushing the lifespan for most humans.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that was a rough lifetime on you there, bud.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he probably looks fantastic for an 80-year-old man.
This is a case of how well cast young Vigo was.
Yeah.
Looking both awfully weathered and like pretty darn handsome.
Yeah. Yeah. It also could be, no time has passed for elves, and they're like, ooh.
Are
What
you
happened
sick?
to that young princeling who was here?
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for the Madam House. Is this a build up for that?
Could be.
Just might be. Well, okay, small Aragorn point. I think this might be the first chapter since the Fellowship was formed that Aragorn and Boromir did not measure their dicks.
It's because Boromir is so far out of his element here.
He's probably the sulking wouldn't begin to describe his mood in this chapter.
No, he's like Sam in a boat.
Angry but terrified.
Yeah, like I'm not going to say anything. I'm just very upset. Just waiting for it to tip over and kill them all.
Just so he can say "I told you so" as his head drops below the waterline.
And to be fair, up until this point, he's been right on every time he's been like, I don't want to do this. This is a bad idea. Every time these idiots have taken him into like another circle of hell.
Yep. Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Here's another essay for the Tolkien Society, how Boromir was pushed to what he did.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. Oh, yeah. No spoilers, but we will read that essay in a couple chapters.
Can I segue into any of these? Oh, here's one. Gimli's love of Galadriel makes so much more sense in the book than it does in the movies. In the movies, he was just like dumbstruck by her beauty. And in the book, it's like her compassion and how like he's treated like a human. I'm not human, but you know what I mean. Like,
well, yeah.
She treats him like another person, like understands the deep sorrow of his people.
Yeah, and even uses his language.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. It's just that she was
and like speaks down to her husband in front of the whole kingdom as like, no, he's got some good points here. He's right to be upset.
It's funny that like Celeborn, I guess not funny, but like he really is being unreasonable. Like he's perfectly nice-ish, nice enough to Gimli when they get there, but as soon as they find out what happened in the mines, he's like, oh, fuck you, Gimli.
You in particular, for what your people did like 3,000 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, really decidedly uncool.
Yeah, Galadriel really pumps his brakes.
Yeah, very, very pivotal part of this chapter is her pumping his brakes.
And it makes Gimli's infatuation with her like so much more wholesome.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he is a little perviness comes up a few times in this chapter, I think, but yeah, in the movie he's a little like chill out, man. Good stuff. Great Hobbit shit here. Here's one. I love that no matter where Frodo goes, it is just a given that Sam goes too.
Yeah. Nobody questions it either.
No, yeah, he's just always there. I think the mirror is probably the funniest example of that. Like, Sam had no business being there for the mirror thing.
or a spoiler, dear listener, did Galadriel, the all-knowing, see that Sam is the true hero?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Probably. Or at least had an inkling, at least was like stealing himself, trying to get Sam to steal himself for the horrible task ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads into my next point. In Sam's vision, was Gaffer canceled for his comments in the first couple chapters about the Blackfellows?
I was gonna say something earlier about Celeborn being canceled, but oh, it was with the White Council thing. I was like, yeah, it's like Galadriel was canceled, but I don't see why, because Celeborn could have been. Anyway,
he's just walking away with a bindle.
He'll never be cast again in a major Hollywood motion picture. Well, yeah, you reap what you sow, Hamfast. We talked about this briefly by text about 100 years ago when we initially started reading this chapter. The Eye of Sauron.
Yeah.
Did you have thoughts on that, Mike?
No.
Okay, sorry. Well, I thought it was cool. I thought the description was like, again, comparing it to the movie, because the movie's sort of like that idea of what the Eye of Sauron looks like. The description in the book is very like folky, I want to say.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it reminds me quite a bit of Tolkien's illustrations. Like, some of his illustrations, I feel like you could say are folky. I mean, maybe that's a weird word to use for it, but it's the best one that came to mind.
I know what you mean. Kind of like what's the word, like amateur-ish. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but like like he's not a trained illustrator, but like they're fantastic.
Yeah,
They just,
yeah.
they just have that quality that is a good quality.
Yeah, it's like a kind of freedom that that something that is somewhat more amateur tends to have, other than someone who's sort of like trained in an art.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're not
Like,
sort of tied down by things.
yeah, you wouldn't be like, oh, that perspective's off, I can't do this.
Yeah, exactly. You just sort of go for it. And yeah, yeah, and the eye just seems like that. It seems like his description, Tolkien's own description of the Eye of Sauron seems like a good description of one of his drawings, if that makes
Man,
sense.
the Eye of Sauron could have been so cool as like a stop motion effect from, I don't know, the height of stop motion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Cat-like, and like a lid of flames. Yeah, I don't know. It's really neat, and it's not as like horrible lava fire ominous as like the the movie one.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's still awful. Like imagine seeing that thing and having it look for you. Like
Yeah, good point. Good point, Corey. Yeah, the Eye of Sauron in the movies never really sat right with me. I don't know why. It's just too like grim dark. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a nitpick though for the greatest movie trilogy ever.
Yeah, it sits the worst with me in the last movie, but I think the last movie is the one that I would nitpick the most.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, I'll digress from that. We'll get there.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not clear to me what Sam means when he says there's elves and there's elves. Like, does he not think these are real elves because they have a home? Is that what he was saying?
Oh, interesting. Maybe like his experience of elves are all the ones that are just sort of wandering to the havens.
Yeah, it seems that way. Like, wandering the forest. I don't know, having a little, forest parties.
Oh yeah, or like the ones that Bilbo ran into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really that's a good point, because I don't think I really knew what he was getting at.
I don't think Sam was smart enough to tell Frodo what he meant, and he just had to say something. Or he's idealized elves so much, and he's not willing to give that up. Like,
yeah, I guess so.
Sure. I guess these are elves. Really hoping to see some elves though.
The way that you described it just now makes me think of a sort of maybe like artificial-ish nature of Lothlorien, because it's the power of the ring that keeps it the way that it is. Like maybe it's something like that. Like maybe the elves shouldn't be that powerful still. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But there's no reason why Sam should perceive that in any way whatsoever.
Maybe there's like a profound sadness over Lothlorien that Sam's picking up on.
Oh yeah, you know what, that makes sense to me.
So they're not like the gleeful happy elves that that they run into otherwise.
Yeah, they're elves that have like laid down roots, unlike Gandalf. But they've laid down roots in a place that like they know is going to pass on, I guess.
Maybe that's what Sam means. That must be it.
Here we are again, very unintentionally reaching some deep truth. That's a good note. I have one more.
Okay, I have one more too, and then you can cancel mine if you want, but go ahead.
Okay, cool. I bet the time will run out just as you go to it. Frodo asks a very clever question of Galadriel after the whole mirror nightmare, which I thought was kind of neat. He asks why he can't see into the minds of those who hold the other rings.
Oh.
Because he sort of gets the sense that like if Sauron had the ring, he could see into everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, why can't I? And Galadriel tells him it's because he is not the master of the ring. He has not claimed it. And he's also not necessarily powerful enough to wield it. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah. There's like an extra tier to the ring's power.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Which, no spoilers. I won't say anything.
All right. My last point, Corey.
I'm excited.
Okay, so the elves, they live and sleep on these platforms hundreds of feet in the air.
Yes.
Where do they take a shit?
I would have thought maybe against the trunk, but then the greatest of like their halls is built around the trunk, so that's a no-go. Imagine if you're on a higher up flat, you're just shitting on the Lord and Ladies Hall.
Yeah. Well, sailors at sea used to just lean over the edge.
So so on the forest floor of Lothlorien, covered in golden leaves of the Malorn tree, there's also a circle of shit around every one of them. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Like birds.
Have you ever gone camping and like you're like canoeing and there's like a little rock out in the middle of the lake or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to that, and you get excited and you go to it and you realize it's just entirely covered in bird shit?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Is that Lothlorien?
Yeah.
Maybe elves poop that way too. Maybe it's just like that same consistency. They probably don't poop like mortals poop.
Yeah, it's probably bird-like, I would think. Yeah.
I swear there's this bird that keeps shitting on my vegetable box. There's always like what looks like digested raspberries on the corner of it.
Oh boy.
And that's what I'm picturing now. I'm both mad and not mad that you brought that up.
It's a valid question.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And it's the kind of stuff that you and I are duty bound to discuss.
Well, I was thinking, what would have happened if the dwarves came through here and they were carrying Bomber?
Maybe Celeborn was just having flashbacks to when they had the road open to Moria. They're obviously dwarfs would have to shit in many places on their way to Lothlorien.
That's why they gave them the long walk around.
We got to make sure as many of these dwarves are shitting outside the city as possible.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
But the only food for the brave and true comes from the green dragon.
Welcome to the Green Dragon, where we discuss the beers we're drinking during this episode. Corey, what are you sipping on here?
Mike, my God, have I been saving this? This is like this is my ninth symphony of beer selections. It's probably a really misplaced reference. Okay, so I am drinking a beer called Malevolent Benevolence. Because doesn't that just sum up Galadriel?
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, I've been saving this one. I've wanted to. It's from the Rorschach brewery or Rorschach. You know, like those ink tests.
Yep.
Very far east. I had quite a decent bike ride to go and get this thing, but yeah, I've had my eye on this for like the entirety of the book, and I have wanted to use it for a chapter, and it finally made sense here. Yeah, it is. They have a bunch of different kinds. This is the breakfast one containing coffee and maple syrup, obviously.
Ooh.
It's an imperial stout. It is 11.9%. So I've already started drinking it to pace myself. I got two of these actually. Though I had the other one like a while back. This one is so much easier to drink. It is really, really genuinely smooth, and so dark and so thick, but like not in a gloppy molassesy way.
Yep.
It's very, very, very good. Actually, I thought it would be harder to get through, to be completely honest. Also during like a heat warning day.
What a day for a stout.
But it's wonderful. I love it. Yeah, I'm getting that maple on the tongue, Mike.
Man, maple and coffee. What were they thinking?
They thought
only it was a oatmeal stout with maple and coffee. That would be something, wouldn't it?
That would be breakfast, actually.
All four food. All four food groups in one. Beer, oats,
beer. Yeah, man. What do you got this time, Mike?
Well, Corey, on the entire opposite end of the spectrum.
This never happens.
Yeah, we're out of sync. I'm drinking Goldenwell West Coast table beer from Driftwood Brewery.
Oh, table beer.
Table beer. Goldenwell. The label has 3 blonde, fantasy-ish looking women pouring into a giant well out of these containers. And mixing it with an oar. So, yeah.
Another apt description of Galadriel.
It could be. It could be. They could be emptying Galadriel's urinal into the mirror.
Come here, Sam. How is it, Mike?
It's pretty good. It's very light. It's actually 3%, which is crazy. But it's perfect because we are actually experiencing a heat wave ourselves, and it's nice and light. And it's also 2:47 p.m. here, and I can enjoy this beer and then go about my day.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. It's 5:47 here, and this beer will likely be the downfall of my day.
Well, I'm sure there are hundreds of people that will appreciate it.
Yes, and I do it for them. Mike, do you have an IBU on there?
No, I don't. I imagine it's quite low.
Yeah, I imagine mine's low too.
Yeah, I have a nope. Water, barley, oat malt, hops, yeast. It's super light, super mellow. It almost tastes like grapefruit juice, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's not a Radler, but
but it drinks like one.
Yeah, it's a tasty little beer. Very light too.
Excellent.
Not just in feeling, but the actual color. You know what? These sneaks might have actually just mixed water and beer and called it a day.
Isn't that what a Radler is though? They just mix beer and lemonade and call it a day.
Yeah, beer. I've had grapefruit Radlers before, and they were quite good.
Oh yeah, great. It's supposed to be grapefruit, isn't it? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Cool. Well, that was a successful trip to the Green Dragon. It's been a while since we've been allowed in here.
Yes. Yeah, we made them angry by tipping poorly the last time.
Well, the machine defaults to 25%, so what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, so I just hit cancel and I ran.
Yeah, the protest didn't work.
A little hype for next time. Next time we're at the Green Dragon, there will be a beer from the Patreon page.
Oh.
Which I have obtained 2 of, and I will make a point to drink both of them.
All right. Sounds good. I need to find one, but more about that off mic.
Okay. Excellent. Hype.
Riders of Rohan! What news from the mark?
Hobbit News, where we discuss any news that came our way since the last episode.
Well, it's been a while.
It's been a while, Corey. I don't want to talk about part of the news, so you go.
Okay. Well, my news is just quickly is that there have been not 1 but 2 trailers released for the Lord of the Rings series.
Guess how many I watched, Corey?
Did you watch both, or you watched none?
Zero of them.
Well, Mike, I figured it was my solemn sworn duty to watch both of them, unfortunately. Maybe I shouldn't mention this because this will ruin a thing for you that's already been ruined for me.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
Okay. Well, there's a fucking Balrog in the series for whatever reason.
Oh.
Okay. But the way it's presented in the trailer is that it's like the Balrog, like the one in Moria.
What?
I mean, I don't know. It's just a trailer, so God only knows. But that's what it seemed like to me. It certainly wasn't an army of Balrogs.
If that's what they do, for fuck's sakes.
Well, bro,
there are, let's say 100 other Balrogs that could have been used.
That's kind of the thing, yeah.
That doesn't bode well.
It bodes about as well as the amount of hobbits that are going to be in this series.
Oh boy.
But one thing that I've been saving on Hobbit News, I would like to pull out a Mike quote, because I was complaining about hobbits in it, and you said, and I quote, "Lore correctness." Sorry, fuck. Lore correctness be damned. We get more Hobbit shit.
That's true. I did say that. Seeing hobbits do hobbity shit will be worthwhile.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive outlook, Mike, and I appreciate it.
Let's just hope they're doing hobbit shit.
I don't know what else they could be doing. Yeah, I don't know. One of them will probably kill a bunch of orcs. Fuck. Damn it. I've gone and bummed myself out again. No, stay positive. That was your message, Mike, and I want to go with that.
Okay, good. We're good. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got for Hobbit news.
Good. Me too.
The Matham House, it was called.
Welcome again to the Matham House, the most exciting part of the episode where we discuss something that we haven't discussed yet. Mike, what did you have to unearth from the depths of the Matham House?
Okay. First of all, Corey, disclaimer here. This, like our Mathams often go, this didn't have as much information as I expected it to have.
Darn.
It's wild how something like this doesn't have a lot, and then we'll be able to read forever about, I don't know, what was a good one. Doesn't matter.
The Gamgee family tree.
Yeah. Yeah. So you asked me to figure out what Aragorn was fucking the last time he was in Lothlorien.
Yeah, more or less.
So I'll dial it back a little bit. So Aragorn was, as an infant, taken to Rivendell to be brought up there as Elrond's, what do you call it?
Ward?
Well, sure, ward, yeah. And there he, like a rude little boy, fell in love with Elrond's daughter. And Elrond was mean and bad and angry about it because this little scamp of an orphan kid was flirting with his daughter all the time, who was essentially perfect looking. So fast forward however many years, 38 years from present day as the book turns. We're at 38 years before present day in the book. 2980, as it were. Fresh off killing a pirate lord, Aragorn visited Lothlorien and met Arwen for the second time. They summered for a season, flirting and running through the fields and climbing the trees and whatnot, before he proposed, giving her the ring of Bar-Ahir, and she asked for his hand in marriage. I don't know exactly how that works, but he gave her the ring all awkwardly, and she was like, "Oh, are we getting married?" And he was like, That's it.
Oh.
That's all they gave us.
Oh,
so,
shit.
I told you it was ridiculous. So a couple extra little bonus bits. The place where Aragorn popped the question was called Seren Amroth. You may remember it because the Fellowship passed it last chapter. And
right.
Frodo spied on Aragorn, and he saw him as a tall lord dressed all in white. And then when his vision came back to him, he just saw Aragorn like quietly, sadly singing to himself.
Oh.
That was the spot where he proposed.
Wow, okay.
And the ring of Barahir, the one he awkwardly gave away as a, I don't know, 30-year-old. It was an heirloom passed down since the First Age. It was thousands and thousands of years old, older than anything in Middle Earth other than the Palantir.
Whoa.
And it was given to a human man from Fingrong. I can't remember his name. As a present for saving his life.
Oh, okay.
It is, get this, Corey, the ring has 2 serpents intertwined with eyes made of green jewels.
Oh, yes. He bore a strange ring. Yeah, Yeah. They mentioned that in the movie. I think probably just in the extended edition, but
Yeah. And also incorrectly, as
yeah.
Arwen is carrying that ring around at that point.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Huh.
So a couple little fun facts in this Matham that's much shorter than it needs to be.
Well, yeah, I expected more information, but I guess I also didn't really realize like that is fairly important that he proposed to Arwen there.
And that he is already I guess tied to her in that way. Like in the movie leads it to be that like she hasn't made up her mind yet.
Yeah. Or he never got around to putting a ring on it.
Yeah, and then like the extended version, I think he declines her advances before they leave.
Yes, yeah, he does.
So totally different romantic angle. Yeah. It still was Arwen who gave up her immortality for Aragorn, so she's still number one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't think I have any questions.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I wish there were more. I expected there to be more.
Yeah.
Kind of weird that, you know, the hero of the book and his romantic past is just briefly touched upon.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he had a good time, Mike, because he is often seen just thinking about those days.
Yeah, probably the best summer of his life, really.
Yeah.
I think he went right from that to like Back to the Wilds, you know, probably even tracking Gollum.
oh God, yeah,
I think he
right.
probably went right to that, and then he said it was like some of the worst days of his life.
Yeah, how bright the summer days in Lothlorien must have seemed. The dragging a fucking frog across the world.
Yeah, a cursing frog.
Oh, that's great. That's a very good perspective on
it. So what's next, Corey?
There's an eye-opener and no mistake.
Sightseeing with Sam, where we discuss what Sam saw during this chapter. Corey, what sights did you see Sam seeing?
I saw that Sam saw much more than he bargained for.
Oh yeah, he really was talking up the magic of elves for like chapters and chapters and chapters, and he got real close to it, didn't he?
Yeah, he like a moth to the flame. Yeah, this really does suck for Sam.
Oh, I never really thought of it like that.
Well, the imagery of the gaffer homeless and then the factory smoke and all that crap, that's gonna be with him for the rest of this journey. Whatever that entails.
Head Sandyman laughing maniacally.
Yeah,
up on Rosie.
Lighting a tree on fire with one hand, pinching Rosie with the other. Just anything to infuriate Sam. Yeah, man, it's
probably a lovely man.
Ted?
Yeah.
Okay, granted, that is one possible perspective. I still disagree.
Like he stepped on Sam's flowers one time without realizing it.
and yeah, ever since then, Sam's just Sandyman. Yeah, pretty big buzzkill for Sam though.
Yeah, elf magic, not what it's made out to be.
So yeah, Mike, what was it that you saw that Sam saw?
Once again, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Corey. I saw that Sam saw the kindness and compassion of elves.
Oh,
when he witnessed Galadriel slap her husband in the face and correct him on the way he spoke towards Gimli.
Oh yes, a Samwise too far or whatever. Yeah, Sam's journey of growth and acceptance.
Yeah,
right. Good angle. Yeah, no, that's great. I like that. That's beautiful.
The hero of our story, Samwise.
Yeah. Learning and growing, both humble and grateful.
Cast it into the fire!
Fan cast it into the fire. The segment where we cast another one into the fire. Oh, this is a hot topic, Mike. The character that we are casting this time. This is real juicy stuff with the Lord of the Rings series coming up.
It is, yeah. They fucked up because the obvious choice for Galadriel, I mean, previous cast notwithstanding, is Tilda Swinton.
Ah, yes, excellent. Oh, all right. One small round of applause. Excellent cast.
Thank you. I think we can move on from here.
Well, really, there are a lot of in the original movies, there's a lot of pretty bang on casting, and like, where do you go from there? And I think you found the obvious answer, Mike.
I thank you. Some runner-ups were Laura Dern and Uma Thurman.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah,
but neither of them had that quality that Tilda Swinton has. That like awkward beauty, that unworldliness.
Yeah, definitely like ethereal and like, where on earth did you come from?
Yeah.
I will draw you, Saruman, as poison is drawn from a wound.
I shall draw you, Saruman, where we discuss the cover for this episode's chapter. Got it.
Sending it to you now, Mike. Okay. So, rather than a chilling vision of things to come, this was the Mirror of Galadriel. I gotta say, this was one of the chapters where I was like, what the heck am I gonna do for this one?
I hear you.
So I went for like the sort of spooky, creepy angle.
Right. Oh, here we go. Getting it. Ooh. Oh, I love it.
Thanks. That shattered glass.
Oh yeah.
That malevolent benevolence. I was mildly concerned that so I mean, we've discussed this. One of the really fun things with these covers is like sort of going outside our comfort zones and exploring a little bit. I was somewhat concerned I leaned a little bit too hard on Photoshop, or have been for a couple of them, but then I was like, you know what? There's no other context in which I would actually do that. It's
kind of fun to use tools that you're not familiar with and like learn something, and you having the excuse for it. That's kind of the whole point of this, right? Like,
yeah,
so yeah, great work.
Thanks. Yeah, there's some interesting problems, like maybe not problems, but like things of like, I knew sort of how I wanted it to look, but I was like, how do I go about that?
Yeah, and like learning every step.
Yeah.
That creepy bitch.
But one of the good guys, right?
This is what Sam saw.
Yes, it is what Sam saw. You want to see elf magic?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man. So... Our covers are getting so wild.
I am shocked. When I was saving this one, I saved it as chapter 19.psd or whatever. 19 of these things, Mike.
Yeah,
we're coming along.
Yeah, I really want to put them into a book, and I'll have a copy and you'll have a copy, and we'll sell 4 copies, and then there'll be a box of them in our garage, in one of our garages.
That's a great idea. There's probably a way that we could sell it through the Patreon in the same way that the t-shirts go, perhaps.
I think probably.
Let's see, why not?
Patreon wouldn't handle the shipping on that, but
yeah, that's true.
But we could do something, I'm sure, like figure it out.
Yeah. Yes, Hobbit ship fans.
I would like selfishly to have one of those books. It'd be fun.
I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah. And we will eventually have 3.
Yeah.
Being somewhat lofty considering our most recent hiatus, but
I think it was much needed. We're back with renewed vigor.
Yes. And speaking of which, I guess we should mention, once the Lord of the Rings series comes out, are we assuming it's weekly? I guess
it's weekly, yeah. there might be a holiday in there, and they might skip a week at some point.
Right.
I think, are they out on a Thursday, or I think they're out on a Friday.
Okay.
Let's aim, Corey, here in front of the world. Let's aim to have an episode on every Monday.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Like half an hour laughing at the shit we saw.
Yeah, little mini episodes of us cheering, griping, criticizing.
Yeah, predicting maybe.
Hobbit shitting. Yeah, predicting.
Hobbit
Oh,
shitting.
certainly predictions.
Yeah, that sounds, I think we can be on top of that.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I think you mentioned, all we have to do is watch a TV show.
Yeah.
We'll see. To be decided there, folks at home.
We'll probably edit all of that out. What do we
Probably.
have? 4 minutes left.
Okay. I guess we should probably wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening to episode 19 of That Hobbit Shit. You can find us on Instagram at That Hobbit Shit. You can find us on Twitter at Hobbit Shit. Patreon.com/That Hobbit Shit. To support the show, you can join up for as little as $1 a month, and you will get stickers. And you'll get a t-shirt after 3 months at a $10 or higher level. And you can also purchase us a beer at the same time. Force us to drink something, if you will. And thank you to our supporters on Patreon. That would be Nicole, Jeremy, Judy, and Chris. Email us thathobbitshit@gmail.com because we want to hear from you. Thanks for listening. I'm Corey.
And I'm Mike.
And may the hair on your toes never fall out. Still got it.
I don't want to jinx us here, but that was one of our better outros.